Now, I've got to ask this question, and you guys can all sign off below. Is Joel Embiid the worst NBA superstar that we've ever seen? Joel Embiid has been officially ruled out for tonight's game against the Brooklyn Nets, and he's also going to miss the game against the Clippers on Sunday due to swelling in his knee. Now, the 76ers are officially calling this left knee injury management, which is just hilarious in itself. Before it was just load management, then due to backlash and just fan dismay overall, the NBA did a complete 180 on load management and implemented the 65 game policy. And if you guys don't remember what the NBA 65 game rule / policy is, it's essentially a policy that the NBA implemented last year to combat a lot of this load management garbage. And the 65 game policy / rule simply just states that NBA players have to appear in at least 65 games and be on the court for at least 20 minutes of those 65 games to be eligible for a lot of the larger awards that you would get during the year, such as Most Valuable Player, Defensive Player of the Year, Most Improved Player, etc. For NBA players, especially the superstars, this is a huge deal, as this can be the difference between making $150 million in your max contract versus making $250 million in your max contract. And for example, Luka Doncic, who earned his 5th consecutive All-NBA First Team selection last year, essentially set the stage for him to sign the largest supermax contract in NBA history. So when he's actually available to sign the contract in the 2025 offseason, his supermax extension will be worth $346 million over 5 years, which will be the largest contract in NBA history when he does eventually sign it. But if Luka Doncic did not play a minimum of 65 games per year, he wouldn't have met that 5th consecutive All-NBA First Team selection. So it's extremely important for certain players. Now, you might be asking, how does this relate to Joel Embiid at all? And why is this important? Well, Joel Embiid has only played more than 65 games in a season in only 2 seasons, and he's been in the NBA now for 9 years. And listen, man, I'm not blaming the dude. You are a big ass dude. You are 7'1", 7'2". You are more prone to getting injured. We all know that. If you have an injury, it is what it is. And you can see that a lot of these comments from the media about Joel Embiid not putting in full effort in, or always being injured, are starting to get to him, because more recently he's been lashing out at media. There was a time where he lashed out at the reporter and tried to pretty much smack the dude in the face for talking about his son as well as his late brother. There was another interview where Joel Embiid pretty much lashed out and said that he does too much for the city to be treated like this. You can listen to that a little bit here.
I've done it. You know, from what I can tell you, I've broken my face twice. I came back early with the risk of losing my vision. Had broken fingers. I still came back. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, when I see people saying he doesn't want to play. I've been way too much. I've done way too much, for this city, and putting myself at risk, for people to be saying that. So I do think it's like that dude. He's not here, Marcus, whatever his name is. I've done way too much for this city to be treated like this. So,
but at the same time, this dude is also always trolling as well too. Even with the back-to-back comments, recently he addressed that and said, "Oh well, I am a troll, so I was probably just joking." Like, come on, dog. And all this bad injury juju that Joel Embiid has brought is also reaching his 76ers teammates as well too. Tyrese Maxey got injured recently, and Paul George got injured prior to the season starting, and he just got injured on the same knee again recently. Joel Embiid continues to nurse his injury and complete the left knee injury management program, where he's going to be out a couple more games. He's missing the game today, and he's also going to be missing the game on Sunday against the Clippers. And then to add on top of this, Joel Embiid has that new nasty ass free throw routine where he literally picks his own ass, smells it, then shoots his free throw. Like, what is going on with Joel Embiid, bro? And it's not just Joel Embiid too, it's the Sixers, man. The Sixers are absolutely falling apart. Right now, they have a record of 2-11. They have the worst record in the NBA, and they are bottom of the Eastern Conference. And things came to a head on Monday night when the Philadelphia 76ers had to have a team meeting. And in this team meeting, it's reported that Tyrese Maxey called out Joel Embiid about his tardiness in team meetings. It seems like Joel Embiid is just always late. And for your superstar to be the one to always be late for meetings, you're not setting a good example for the rookies, and you're just not being a top level player. I mean, if you're injured, the least you can do is at least show up for team meetings on time, right? And of course, instead of addressing the tardiness head on in a mature fashion, saying, listen, I've been tardy, I've been late, it's not up to my standards, I can do better and I will do better, and we can work forward on making this team the best that it can be and get into the playoffs. Instead, of course, he's looking to find the person who leaked the story in the first place. But that's not even the worst part about this Sixers situation. The worst part about it is that Paul George went on his podcast afterwards and actually talked about the Sixers meeting. Now listen, I'm all for player empowerment, I'm all for players getting their bags outside of the NBA season, but man, you gotta make the main thing the main thing. And for you to be on your podcast talking about this thing right after it happened is crazy to me. It seems like this dude cares more about his podcast right now than he actually cares about being on the 76ers. And at this rate, the Philadelphia fans, who are, by the way, ruthless, are going to be running Paul George out of town by the end of the season. But I'll play a little bit of the podcast. This is what Paul George had to say about the players only meeting that was sparked by their 2-11.
A report had dropped of a players only meeting. How would you describe that meeting, and how do you guys deal with that being leaked to the media?
I don't know how the Shams got that story or how that even leaked. The whole meeting, that's normal in the NBA. Teams go through that. I've been on multiple teams where we'll at some point have a meeting and a check-in if things aren't going right. It was positive conversation. It was healthy conversations. We're a team that cares, a team that naturally cares about what's going on with their team. They're going to have sit downs. They're going to discuss how can we get back on track.
It was just a positive meeting. Really, we sat there, just talked about the game, things that we feel like we can improve on. I'm just probably sitting here wondering how it got out.
Now, even though it is bad and they are 2-11, there's still plenty of NBA season left, and there are a couple of bright spots on the team. Now, I personally think that Nick Nurse is still a very good coach in the NBA, and I think when all the players come back from this little injury bug that's been going on, they can find a way to turn this thing around. But in addition to that, the 16th overall draft pick, Jared McCain, has been playing extremely well, and at this rate, he's definitely going to be the rookie of the year. This TikTok dancing ass motherfucker has played great the last couple of games. Just tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, he dropped 30 points, 5 rebounds, and had 3 assists. And so far this season, he's been averaging 16.5 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, and 2.7 assists per game, which is honestly really, really good. So it is pretty bad, but when you're at rock bottom, the only way you can go is up, right? Well, I hope so for Philadelphia 76ers fans. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think the Sixers will be able to bounce back in time to make the playoffs? Or do you think that this experiment has already failed? Paul George is going to end up bouncing to another team, and this is going to continue to sink just like the Titanic. Let me know what you think.